So you're thinking about moving to Tarpon Springs, Florida. Today we're going to take a map tour of the area just to familiarize you with it. And there's a lot more to cover in upcoming episodes. We'll tour some houses and do things like that. So that gives you something to look forward to. If this is your first time on the channel, please hit like, subscribe, and share. You can do that in the description on the page. All those buttons are there for you. My name is Barney. I've lived in this area almost 20 years, have become very familiar with things. You can use me and my partner Carol as a resource. Carol and I are business partners, and we love helping people move to the area. Whether that be in 9 days, 90 days, 6 months, we don't care. Just hit us up. You can email us, you can text us, you can book a link for a Zoom call through our calendar. Whatever you decide to do, we're here for you and always willing to help. All right, so let's get to the map. So as you see, Tarpon Springs is in the northern part of Pinellas County, and it takes up a pretty good amount of size. The population in 2024 was just over 26,000 people. And this is a great, predominantly Greek community, and it's spread out pretty well. It's also, you know how we talked about in earlier episodes how there's chaos at the beaches, Clearwater Beach, St. Pete Beach, all of those things. Well, here, if you want to go to the beach, you have Howard Park Beach right here. You have Anclote Key State Park right there. And then to the south, you have Honeymoon Island Beach and Honeymoon Island State Park. Now, the great things about these is they're not packed with tourists. And that's what a lot of the locals, they lose the desire to go to the beach. Even though we live on the water, you get tired of fighting the tourist crowds, the spring break crowds, all of those things. These, though, Anclote Key Preserve State Park, Honeymoon Island, all of those are more natural areas, which means you don't have all of that. People want to go and have all the conveniences. Well, these, you take all your conveniences with you. So here's the Dunedin Causeway. That gets you out to Honeymoon Island State Park. And Dunedin is only maybe 10 to 15 minutes south of Tarpon Springs. For Anclote Island State Park and the beach, you have to take a ferry to get to that. And that ferry is actually a nice little trip. It's not very long at all. And I know I enjoyed it when I did it. And not having all the conveniences of everything was not a problem for my group. Now, the main draw to Tarpon Springs are the sponge docks. And the sponge docks are right here. So this started in the early 1900s with people coming in, bringing their boats, and started harvesting sponges in the area, out in the Gulf and all of that. Today, they're still in operation, but it is a really big tourist attraction. When you come in, this is the main drag, Pinellas Avenue, and it's also called Alternate 19 if you're coming off of US Highway 19. And there's a lot of cool stuff. This restaurant, Captain Jack's Waterfront Grill, is a great place for lunch. It's mostly a locals place. It looks out right over the water. Very relaxing. There's charter services. There's Freedom Boat Club, just to name a few, right as you're coming into Tarpon Springs. One of the main draws, again, is the sponge docks. But all along this, as you're coming into town or coming into this area, there's a big parking area right over here. So I would take advantage of that because it only takes 10 to 15 minutes to walk this whole route. And then you can come back. So you hit all the shops on one side, hit all the shops on the other. When I first got to Florida, and started exploring the area, I ended up in Tarpon Springs and did just what I said. We parked up here and then just started hitting shops and restaurants along the route on the north side of the street, which is this side. And we ended up one of my favorite shops. Well, it's a spice. Yeah, there we go. Spice Man's Kitchen. Now, I'm also a chef. So for me, whenever I find a shop like that, I like to go in and browse, and I could spend an hour in that shop. There's so many variety of spices and sauces and other things that would interest the chef. You can spend quite a bit of time in there. I spent enough time in there that I worked up an appetite and noticed that down at this end of the street, there we go, that's what I was looking for. At this end of the street is Rusty Bellies Waterfront Grill, and then also Pelican Point Seafood. Now, as I was walking down through here, I noticed there was an area just behind here where boats were offloading fresh fish. So again, as a chef, that piqued my curiosity. So we decided to go into Rusty Bellies, and you go up a set of stairs and into the front of the restaurant. And they have a fresh seafood case there, or they did when I was there. So I noticed that the seafood case was being stocked as we were coming in, and it looked like it was being stocked with the fish that was being unloaded when we first walked up to the restaurant. That's fresh. So we had a great lunch there. The fish was just as great as you could imagine. I highly recommend that place. And like I said, on each side of the street, there's lots of stuff to do. Spice Man's is just part of it. If you're into vinyl, there's an open air market. And further down on Pinellas Avenue, after you get back off of Dodecanese Boulevard, as you go down the main drag right here, there's several. I like this one, Tarpon Home and Garden. There's a couple of these shops that you can spend an hour easily walking around. This is yard art, metal yard art, wall art, statues, whimsical stuff. It's a great, great shop. We have several pieces from there in and around our yard. And it's cool to go back because it changes all the time. Now, Tarpon is in the middle of a lot of different stuff. Like I said, it's the northern end of Pinellas County, and it's the bottom end of Pasco County, which starts right there. There's another boat club. One of the things that I wanted to be sure and point out, though, is if you're a fisherman, there's marinas over here, there's fishing charters available over here, and this is the Gulf of America right here. Okay, so you've got all of your saltwater fishing available. This, on the other hand, is Lake Tarpon. Now, I haven't fished it, but I'm told that this is some great freshwater bass fishing. And I see people taking boats there all the time. And I grew up in Arkansas, and I grew up bass fishing. Ton of fun. I do like saltwater fishing, but there's just a little bit of difference between saltwater and freshwater. And if you're a fisherman, you know what I'm talking about. All right, golfers, this puts you in proximity to several golf courses, and I mean nice golf courses. We're going to start with one of the nicer ones, Innisbrook Resort. Okay, that name may sound familiar. Innisbrook is the host of the Valspar Classic every year, and that's a PGA event, and they put on a big show. There's live entertainment on the fourth day, I believe. Big band. I saw Toby Keith one year live. Great show. But Innisbrook is famous for its Copperhead course, which is where the Valspar Championship is held. I was fortunate enough to last year, I believe, play the Copperhead course. A buddy of mine volunteers every year for Valspar. And as part of that, what would normally be a $450 round of golf, I think we got it for like $75 for the day, and it was on a Monday. We were there right after it was a ladies championship that was set up like the PGA event. So all the pin locations were in a championship location. Shot a 94. I'm pretty pleased with that. Okay, another one over here is Wentworth Golf Club. It's another good place to play golf. High quality, almost always in good shape. And then, where is it at? There you go. Silver Dollar Golf Club. Turnberry at the Eagles. Windsor Park at the Eagles. And then down south, there's several more. Here's Fox Hollow. It's a beautiful course. So, as you see, if you choose to make Tarpon Springs your home, there's a lot of things to do here. You still have all the normal things, the hiking, the biking, the fishing, paddleboarding, kayaking, all of that. That's a little bit about Tarpon Springs. Lots of Airbnb opportunities. If you are looking for a home, these residential neighborhoods are awesome. I know several people that live in these areas. So this is a golf cart community and a fishing community. So a lot of people drive their golf carts around the neighborhoods, and then they have docks behind their house, so they'll head out for a little fishing or just boating. They do boat parades, they do golf cart parades. A lot of fun. Houses in this area, you can find them at all kinds of prices, starting about $350 for fixer-uppers, and you go up from there. Your proximity to the water drives part of that cost. So the closer you are to the water, of course, the higher the price. So now one thing I failed to mention in the opening was to stay around to the end, and I'll tell you a little known fact. It's well known locally, but if you're moving here from out of town, it's not all that well known. I'm going to read it to you more or less so I don't mess it up, but the event is called Epiphany. And Epiphany is something the Orthodox Christian celebrates on January 6th of each year in remembrance of the baptism of Jesus Christ in the water of the Jordan River around 2,000 years ago. In the old country, Jesus Christ's baptismal day was celebrated with spiritual emotion and long procession. Following tradition, the Greek community established that January the 6th of each year will be celebrated with the sanctification of the waters and the immersion of the cross in the spring bayou on Cross Day or Epiphany. The first observance of Epiphany in Tarpon Springs was celebrated by the first settlers in 1903 and was held in an Episcopal church which was attended by few people. In the next few years, as the news spread throughout the U.S. and Canada, devoted Greeks and Americans made the pilgrimage from all over the nation and Canada in order to take part of this celebration of Epiphany and its 3-day festivities. Well, what's really cool about Epiphany is, as we've watched it over the years, and it's cool because I believe it's 15 and 16-year-old boys line up in boats in the bay, and then the priest says a prayer and throws the cross into the water. Well, the boys, and then keep in mind, this is January 6th. It's been really cold on January 6th, and it's been temperate on January 6th. But I can't imagine diving into that water on January 6th. Swim to the bottom, and it's a competition. They swim to the bottom, grab the cross, and the young man that comes up with the cross is blessed for the next year, I believe is the theory on that. And that all happens right in here. So that's the little known fact about Tarpon Springs. Now, for those of you who are wondering about proximity to the airports, the Tampa airport is 23 miles away approximately. And is right down here. And the St. Pete-Clearwater airport is about the same distance. And to keep that, you'd come this way to Tampa. That takes you 30 to 45 minutes depending on traffic. Same for the St. Pete-Clearwater airport, about 30 to 45 minutes to get down there. But anyway, we're going to revisit a few things in future videos. That is our map tour of Tarpon Springs. I appreciate you staying around till the end. So again, if you'd like to reach out to us, you can text us, email us, you can book a Zoom call through our calendar. But most of all, just know we're always here to help, however that may be, whether it's a phone call, if you're asking specifics about a particular region, we're glad to do that. We like it best on Zoom, but whatever works best for you. So that's it on Tarpon Springs today. Thank you, and be safe out there.